So, what you guys went through, we're going to just take a look at it for a moment for those whose memory needs refreshing. We're going to drop the screen and see what occurred. Not in a war camp, in a high school campus.
Reportedly first holds a fire alarm to get more students out of the classroom, maximizing potential victims.
As soon as the fire drill got pulled, the fire line got pulled, and kids were evacuating, I heard 5 pops.
He was just very focused. He was very focused on what he was doing. And that's, yeah.
I was in the classroom, and all of I hear was shots, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And we're just sitting on the floor, and we're just panicking.
In this classroom, screams of anguish as police lead students to safety. Outside, chaos. Students streaming out of the building, some running, many with their hands on their heads, a sea of backpacks abandoned on the ground. Emergency vehicles rushing to the scene, paramedics in a race to save the wounded. Scenes of relief as parents comforted children who reached safety. Just before 4 p.m., the 19-year-old suspect, Nicholas Cruz, captured and taken into custody.
This has been a day we've seen the worst in humanity. Tomorrow is going to bring out the best in humanity as we come together to move forward from this unspeakable tragedy.
I'm sorry to make you guys relive that, but you know, it's so important in terms of what you decided to do. I'm sure there was a lot of counseling that happened after that event for all the students. And tell me, where were you when the attack occurred?
Well, I was across the school at the time. That building in question where the shooting occurred was the freshman building. So a lot of the people involved and a lot of people affected were freshmen and sophomore students, 14 to 16 years old. But I was in the school newspaper room across campus. I was just writing a story, and then the alarm went off. It was about 19 students, ran out of the room. Custodian said, "Get back inside," code red, which means active shooter. And that we were about 19 students in a classroom for about 2.5 hours until we were evacuated.
How long did you attend many of the funerals of your classmates and your friends?
For over the next couple of weeks, there were, because of 17 people who passed away, there were 17 funerals. It stretched for the 3 weeks that we were out of school. Personally, I only attended 3 of them simply because they were the people I was closest to, the people that I had known, and funerals are quite a hard experience to go through already, and then for people so young.
Now, Chris, where were you when this occurred?
Yeah, so I was in my theater class about 20 yards adjacent from the building, so I heard everything that happened. So it was me and my friend Kirsten. We had gotten separated from the rest of our classroom, and I grabbed her hand, and we hid in kind of a walk-in closet, and I grabbed a piano and barricaded us in and just waited it out.
So you guys went into mourning, and Ryan, now tell me, what have you been doing? Because I understand after graduating you took a year off to build a campaign. We saw the pictures in Washington, D.C. of that amazing rally, and rallies are great, but as we all know, everybody then goes home and it becomes yesterday's news. What have you been doing to build a response that's long-lasting?
Well, our organization that we started shortly after the shooting, March for Our Lives, we did the march in DC. We had sister marches all over the world, about 880 or so. And then after the 24th, we realized that protests don't do everything. Protests very much draw attention, but it doesn't keep the attention. So we conducted afterwards a 53-day bus tour all across the nation, in which we went to states like California and New York, and also states like Utah, Iowa, Nebraska, and we ended up at about 27 states, roughly about 80 stops, and we just spoke to people from all sorts of communities all over the country, just to get insight into the problems that we face, and to really build this network of students and this network of activists to be able to actually combat these issues. And right now we are just mainly aiming to create the largest youth voter turnout in midterm history.
Well, I want to say the way you've drawn the continuous attention to gun violence, to mental illness and gun violence. I mean, you know, you think about it, who really needs to own an AR-15 or an M16? That's a weapon of mass murder. Even those gun rights activists must recognize that. But what you've done to keep the focus and attention on this is amazing. You reframed a tragedy, a horrific tragedy, and you made it into a mission so that the memory of your classmates and fellow students is never forgotten. I think you're great job.